What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another Division video. Today we're going to be talking about all the shields in the Division, and I'll be showing you some tips and tricks on how to complete them, and I'll be playing the audio for all of them at the end of the video in case anybody who doesn't have them unlocked, they'll still be able to hear the audio files that you unlock with them. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So let's go ahead and get right into the video now. So for the first one we have the Shepherd Shield. So the objective for this one is to liberate the base of operations. This one is pretty self-explanatory and most people had it done retroactive as soon as they logged in. It was automatically completed for them because most people already had the base of operations liberated. So basically all you have to do is come here in the beginning of the campaign and talk to Fei Lao, and then once you talk to her, the base of operations will be liberated for you. You don't have to even have any of the wings unlocked, I don't believe. You just have to come here, liberate the base of operations, basically meaning you've taken control of it. Even if nothing is upgraded or anything like that, once it's liberated, you'll have completed the Shepherd Shield. So moving on to the second one, we have the Hazard Shield. So the objective for this one is to clear 25 landmarks in the Dark Zone. This one is pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. However, I will show you a quick tip that will actually make it go by quicker. So most people know that the entire Dark Zone is just filled with landmarks. However, if you want to actually have this one go by a little bit faster, I would recommend going up here to Park Ave, and the whole idea of this is we're going to be farming DZ 8 and 9. And the reason for that is because DZ 8 and 9 are extremely condensed with landmarks, and there's kind of a little routine you can run up here, and it'll make it go by much quicker. So I travel to Park Ave checkpoint up here on the south side of DZ 8. And then from there, once I leave the checkpoint, I go to the depot. And then once from the depot, I go up north to the greenhouse. Then I go to the armory. Then I head west over here to the deck. Then I come back down south to the radio tower. And then from the radio tower, I'll extract up here, which is placed perfectly for that. Then once I extract, I'll hit up the north tunnel, and then I'll start making my way south. Then I'll hit up the basement. And then I'll hit up the south tunnel, and then once I come out of the south tunnel, I'll go back up slightly north, go to the boiler, clear that out, and then from there I'll go hit up the plaza. And then once I complete the plaza, I'll come back over east and I'll hit up the extraction. And once I complete the extraction and I get my stuff out again, by that point the depot, which is where we originally started off, will be back up and all the mobs will be ready to be killed there again. So it's pretty nice because by the time you've done a full circle and you've done that kind of little route, all the landmarks will be ready to be farmed again. So basically once you complete that first run, you just recycle and repeat, and you can do this 4 or 5 times, and then by the time you have all these done, you'll have your shield done as well. And it's also nice because up here you have the 2 extractions, and none of the landmarks up here really bug out ever. So I recommend doing that up here, because down here in DZ 1 through 4 there are landmarks, but they are kind of scattered, and there's really no good run to do this kind of optimally if you want to be a little bit more time efficient. And then in DZ 5 through 7, the landmarks are also kind of scattered, and the only problem with that is they are pretty condensed up here in DZ 7. However, a couple of these, like the Nest and the Opera, do tend to bug out on people a lot of the time. So I don't really recommend doing any of these. I would strongly recommend that you come up here and farm DZ 8 through 9 and just do that run that I explained right there. And you should be able to have this done within a couple hours. So that is going to do it for the Hazard Shield. So moving on to the third one, we have the Deadeye Shield. So the objective for this one is to complete all weekly HVTs in a single week. And as you can see, there's a total of 8 of them right there. So what you want to do is you want to fast travel to the terminal, and then once you're at the terminal, you want to head over here to the left. You'll see the entrance to the survival DLC, and then you just want to head over here. You'll see the weekly and the daily HVT officers. So obviously you want to talk to the weekly HVT officer, and she'll give you all of the weekly HVTs you need to complete right here, and she'll tell you the total amount of target intel you need. And to see the total amount you have, you just look down here in the bottom right and it'll tell you exactly how much you have. So as you can see, some of these are pretty pricey, especially the most expensive ones. The most expensive one will always cost 45 target intel, but it's also the most rewarding, and that's at the very bottom. And then at the very top, obviously you have the least expensive but also the least rewarding one. So just make sure you complete all 8 of these. So a lot of people actually need the target intel to complete these. So there's a couple ways you can get it. So if you don't want to actually spend any Phoenix credits and you just want to go out there and farm the target intel you need to do these HVTs yourself, you can fast travel to any safe house in Manhattan. And then once you get to these safe houses, you do the search and destroy missions on the bulletin board. And then upon completing those missions, you'll get the target intel you need. And then once you get that, come back here, spend it on her, and then get the missions. However, if you don't want to actually take the time to do that, you can come over here to the special equipment vendor. Once you talk to him, just scroll all the way down to the bottom, and he sells these classified caches. So they will give you a guaranteed classified item. It can be any classified gear set though in the game, so just keep that in mind. But the main thing we're after here is the resources. So you get 51 target intel every single cache you purchase from him. And you're also getting some weapon kits and division tech, which is also nice. But we're mainly after that target intel. So just come over here. If you have the Phoenix credits, purchase these classified caches from him. Open them up. And then once you've opened them up, come over here to her. And just make sure you start working on all 8 of these weekly HVTs. And then once you have all 8 of these done in a single week, you will have completed the Deadeye Shield. So moving on to the 4th one now, we have the Avenger Shield. So the objective for this one is to take out 10 named bosses in Manhattan, 10 in the Dark Zone, and 10 in the West Side Piers. So for the ones in Manhattan, I actually did make a video a little while ago on where all 15 open world or light zone bosses are in Manhattan. So if you want, you can go check out that video. I show you exactly where all of them are. You only needed 10. I show you where all 15 are, so just make sure you do at least 10 of them and you'll have all those done. I will leave a link in the description below for that video if you want to check it out, or otherwise you can go out there and try to find it yourself. It's up to you. And then for the ones in the Dark Zone, you can just do that routine that I was showing you up in DZ 8 and 9 for the Hazard Shield. That's actually a perfect routine to just make sure you get all those Dark Zone boss kills. And then for the West Side Pier ones, just go up to the West Side Piers, which is in the top left hand corner. Now you can just roam around the West Side Piers if you want and try to find the bosses. However, I would just really recommend going to either one of these 3 missions, so the Carrier, Pier 93, or the Powerhouse. Just get a group, run up here, just start going through the waves, and every like 4 or 5, maybe 6 waves, that'll be a boss wave. So just make sure you just keep killing those bosses. If you get a group up here, you can probably get that 10 West Side Pier boss kills done in like 2 or 3 hours if you really put your mind to it. So yeah, just get in a group, go up here to the West Side Piers and get those West Side Pier bosses. And once you get all those boss kills done, you will have the Avenger Shield completed. So moving on to the 5th one now, we have the Sacred Shield. So the objective for this one is to complete 10 phases, get to level 10 and kill 10 hunters in the underground. So this one is actually pretty easy and self-explanatory. However, the only thing is you will have to have the underground DLC to do this. If you don't have the underground DLC in this game, unfortunately you will not be able to complete this shield. So just make sure you have that purchased. So to do this shield, you have to reach underground rank 10. So that's pretty self-explanatory. All you have to do is keep playing missions down here and keep getting XP, and eventually you'll just rank up to level 10. And then once you get level 10, you'll have that step done. For the 10 hunter kills, so for a lot of people who don't know, in the underground there's a very high chance that hunters will spawn every single run, and also for every player there will be one more hunter than the actual amount of players. So if you're playing solo, there will always be 2 hunters, and if there's 2 players, there will be 3 hunters. If there's 3 players, there'll be 4 hunters, and if you're in a full squad of 4 players, there'll be 5 hunters. So if you want to get this done as quick as possible, I do actually recommend playing in a group of 4. However, if you play solo, you'll have to do at least 5 phases where the hunters spawn in. So to get the hunter kills, basically it's all luck, but they usually do spawn in every other phase you do in the underground. So that's kind of up to luck, but it'll happen pretty quickly. It's pretty common for the hunters to spawn in the underground. And then for complete 10 phases in the underground, pretty self-explanatory. Every single mission is a quote-unquote phase, and just complete that phase, and then that is pretty much it. Just complete 10 of them, and then you have all 10 phases. So if you're the group leader or if you're solo, just come up here to the base of operations table, and I recommend doing the custom operations. If you do the dailies, they're only 1 phase. You can do the custom made one, which is 3 phase. However, it's only on hard difficulty. So I personally do the custom operation. I do challenging difficulty to make it the best loot drop, and then I do the 3-phase operations. So just make sure you're doing 3-phase operations if you want to get it done as quick as possible. So yeah. Once you do the 10 phases, kill the 10 hunters, and reach rank 10, you will have the Sacred Shield unlocked and completed. So moving on to the 6th one, we have the Phoenix Shield. So the objective for this one is to extract 5 items, survive for 5 hours, and kill 5 hunters in survival. So this one is also going to require DLC for the game. So if you don't have the survival DLC purchased in this game, you're unfortunately not going to be able to complete this shield. So just make sure you purchase that. And then once you actually have survival unlocked, all you have to do is extract those 5 items. So you have a capacity of 6 items in survival. So just make sure you at least have 5 items and you successfully extract it at the end of the run. Survive for 5 hours. So basically you just need 5 hours of playtime in survival. Pretty self-explanatory. Just don't die, just survive, and that'll just accumulate. And then once you hit 5 hours, you'll have that step done. And then kill 5 hunters in survival. So like Underground, for every player there's only 1 hunter though this time. So if you play solo, there'll be 1 hunter, and if you play 2 people, there'll be 2 hunters, so on and so forth, up to a group of 4, and there'll be 4 hunters. So just make sure that you just kill the hunters, just don't die to them. In survival, it's going to be pretty challenging because your gear score is going to be pretty low, and a lot of the mobs are going to do a lot of damage. It is survival after all. It's a pretty good challenge. It's kind of like it is a survival game mixed with like a BR type game mode. It's really fun. I did enjoy it, and I actually do have all the commendations completed for that game mode. It's actually really fun. I do recommend you actually purchase this DLC to complete this shield. Even if you don't want to do the shield for it, I do recommend playing survival. It's wicked fun. But yeah, just make sure you get the 5 items extracted, survive for 5 hours, and just kill the hunters at the end. And also there's a little tip for that hunter kill too. There are 3 extractions in the Dark Zone in a survival game, so you can actually go to different extraction sites and call in the extraction again, and the hunters will respawn. So they'll only respawn once per extraction site. So there will be 3 extraction sites on the map, and once you kill the hunter at that extraction site, if you do decide to call it in again there, it won't respawn. So you have to go to the other extraction sites, and you can have, if you play solo, you can get a total of 3 hunter kills, 1 per extraction site. And if you're in a group, you can get it all done in 1 run. So that's a little trick there too. So once you get all those steps done in survival, you will have the Phoenix Shield completed. So moving on to the 7th one, we have the Talon Shield. So the objective for this one is to attain a commendation score of 3000. So this is actually going to be a pretty good challenge for most people in the game, because it's not exactly easy to get 3000 commendation score, because you got to play the game for quite a while. You're going to have to put some hours into the game in order to get that amount of commendation score. However, for most people who have been playing since launch, this will be pretty easy to get, because most people will have already had this done. So any veterans out there will probably have already had this done retroactively as soon as they logged in. But for anybody who doesn't have this completed, just make sure you're looking at your commendation tab, which is just to the right of the actual Division Shields tab, and just do any of these. So especially now with global events coming around every month, you have all these extra commendations with commendation score to do. So it isn't really too hard to get 3000, but it will be a little bit of a grind. I would definitely recommend working on these top 3 right here. These are pretty easy to do, especially general and combat. Like, these 2 are pretty easy to get done because they're so simple. They're just kind of time consuming, and they're also pretty rewarding. So just go in here. A lot of them give you pretty good amount of commendation score, and they're pretty simple and straightforward. Just start working on the general and the combat ones, and then when the global events are around, like they are right now at the making of this video, just go in there and see what you need to do for the global event commendations, and it'll accumulate over time, and eventually you'll hit that 3000 mark if you keep to it. I play this game quite a bit, and I only have just over 4000, so it's not exactly easy, but it's not too hard if you put your mind to it and you just get on the grind. It'll come around. So once you hit 3000 commendation score, you will have the Talon Shield completed. So moving on to the 8th one now, we have Rebel Shield. So the objective for this one is to get to wave 15 in resistance. So it's pretty self-explanatory, just get to wave 15. So what you want to do is you want to open up your map and go to the top left hand corner to the west side piers. And you want to do one of these three, the Carrier, the Pier 93, or the Powerhouse. Just do any of these three and get to wave 15. I personally did it solo on Powerhouse, but a lot of people aren't confident in themselves or they just don't have a good enough build to do it. So if you're one of those people, just get in a group and it'll be pretty easy to get to wave 15. As soon as you hit wave 15, the shield will automatically unlock for you and you'll be gifted the cash and the notification that you completed it. So just go to any one of these three, queue up in a group, and just get to wave 15. And once you hit wave 15 in any one of those three missions up there in the west side piers, you will have the Rebel Shield completed. So moving on to the 9th one now, we have the Fang Shield. So the objective for this one is to complete all 7 of these missions on legendary difficulty. So you got to do Amherst, Grand Central Station, Madison, Napalm, Times Square, Power Plant, and United Nations, all on legendary difficulty. Pretty self-explanatory, just get in a group, complete all these missions on legendary difficulty, and then once you complete all 7 of these, you will have the Fang Shield completed. So moving on to the 10th one, we have the Prime Shield. So the objective for this one is to collect 3 full classified gear sets. This is pretty self-explanatory, but it's also kind of hard to do at the same time because it does revolve around RNG. So basically all you want to do is just collect 6 pieces to at least 3 different sets. So as you can see, I currently have my Striker PvE set on. So a quick tip for this is just make sure that you save different gear sets to different loadouts, so that way you can keep track of them better and figure out what you have and what you don't have, and just kind of keep your inventory a little bit more neat and manageable. So just save things to loadouts and just make sure that you have at least 6 pieces of 3 different sets. They all have to be classified items. In case you don't know what a classified item is, you'll see this little folder on it right here to the right of it. If it has that folder, it's classified. If it doesn't, it's not classified. So just make sure it's classified. You have 6 pieces of at least 3 different sets. Just save it to the loadout so it's a little bit more neat and manageable for you to keep track of. And then once you have that done, you'll have the Prime Shield completed. But I get asked questions all the time of like, what's the best way to get classified items in the game? So the best way to actually get classified items is during global events when they're active, but they're only a week long and they're once a month. So I would definitely take the time out of your week to definitely grind the global events if you're really looking to get classified items. So basically all you got to do is just grind any mission in the game and it will give you a set amount of global event credits. And then once you get those global event credits, you basically just come over here to the global events vendor in the terminal, and he will be selling 4 different gear sets and in these caches. So when you open up these caches, they have a pretty good chance of dropping a classified item of that specific gear set. So as you can see, this global event, he's dropping Firecrest, Lone Star, Predator Mark, and Reclaimer. So just purchase these caches. They cost 3,000 global event credits. Purchase these caches from him and he will have a pretty good chance of giving you a classified item from those caches. If you don't catch those global events and you have some Phoenix credits lying around, you can come over here to the special equipment vendor in the terminal, scroll all the way down like I showed you earlier in the video from a previous shield, and purchase these classified caches. They are kind of pricey. They cost 2,500 Phoenix credits, but they are kind of worth it because it's guaranteed classified item. Like, these caches will guarantee you a classified item. The only thing is that they will give you a random gear set classified item, so you don't know what you're getting, but all you know is you're getting a classified item. So if you have some spare Phoenix credits and you're really looking to get your hands on a classified item, that is a pretty good way to go as well. And then honestly, the other best ways is just doing anything in the game. So the highest chances of getting a classified or exotic item in the game are actually to farm west side piers up here, doing either Carrier, Pier 93, or Powerhouse. So when you do these missions up here, you accumulate credits by killing mobs, and there are caches in the missions that actually require those credits to unlock. And when you open those caches, they have a 60% chance of dropping a classified or exotic item. So the Westside Piers are actually the best way to farm when the global event isn't active or you don't have the Phoenix credits to open those caches in the terminal. Definitely the Westside Piers is the way to go. However, it can get kind of boring up here just running these same missions over and over again. So if you don't want to do that, I would recommend doing Underground DLC is probably your second best bet. And then if you don't want to do Underground or you don't have the DLC to do that, you could do Light Zone bosses or you could do Dark Zone bosses. Personally though, I would do Light Zone bosses first because obviously they're Light Zone. You're not going to be encountering other players here. So if you actually do get a good drop, you don't have to extract it. But if you're feeling it and you really want to go for it, you can go in the Dark Zone and do the Dark Zone bosses. If you want to figure out where all the Light Zone bosses are, I actually did make a video, which I said earlier. So you can go check that out. The link will be in the description. So if you want to learn where those Light Zone bosses are, I recommend farming those for classifieds. Otherwise, do Dark Zone. If you have Underground DLC, go do that. But that's gonna pretty much be it. You could do legendary missions, but those are better for exotics because they have guaranteed exotic drops. But they're kind of time consuming as well, so it's really up to you. Technically, classifieds and exotics have a chance of dropping doing any activity in the game, so it's really whatever you want to do. But first off, it would be global events, then it would be those classified caches at the vendor, then it would be Westside Piers, then it would be Light Zone bosses, then it would be Dark Zone bosses, and then it would probably be legendary missions, because legendary missions are good for exotics, but they're not really good for classifieds because they're just kind of time consuming and they don't have a higher chance of dropping a classified item. So that would be my tips for doing the Prime Shield to get the classified items you need. And then once you have 3 full classified gear sets equipped, you will have the Prime Shield unlocked. So moving on to the 11th one now, we have the Martial Shield. The objective for this one is to acquire all exotic armor and weapons in the game. So like the Prime Shield, this one is going to revolve around RNGs, so this one could take you a pretty short amount of time or it could take you a very long time. It all depends on how good your RNG is, so it is random. So you gotta collect 24 items, you gotta collect 24 weapons, and you gotta collect 6 armor pieces. So these are actually all the exotics in the game. Besides, you don't need one of them, which was a double barrel sawed-off shotgun, which was actually introduced around release, I believe. You don't technically need that one, but aside of that one, you do need every other single exotic item in the game. So to start off with, the best way to start acquiring exotics is to come right over here to the special equipment vendor, and you can purchase a bunch of these exotics right here. So I do believe these rotate, I'm not 100% sure, but you can buy like the Centurion, Liberator, Historian, Cassidy, Pecan from him this week. And you know, you can, as long as you have the Phoenix credits, you can purchase these and these will count. Just make sure that once you acquire the item, you keep it on the character, because if you put it on another character, it will not count. Like the game will not understand that you actually have all the items. So just make sure you have it on a single character to be preferable. I believe you can also have it between the character and the stash, but if you have, for example, an exotic on another character that you need for the shield, it will not count. You have to transfer it over to the stash or to the other character. But to be safe, just put it on one character for right now, just to be safe, so that way the game understands you actually have it acquired. So you can go to him, the special equipment vendor, and purchase those exotics directly from him. So the next best way is to do legendary missions. So like I said from one of the shields earlier, you can do the legendary missions, and they will give you a guaranteed exotic item. They'll give you a guaranteed exotic cache once per week. So there are 7 total legendary missions, and every time completing them once per week, they will give you 1 exotic cache, which will give you 1 guaranteed exotic item. So you can run all the legendaries once per week, get your exotic caches, open them, and that'll be good. However, once you complete those, the next best way is to just completely farm Amherst until your eyes fall out of your head, because this will be the best way to acquire it, because Amherst is the quickest legendary mission to complete, and there's also a hunter at the end of the mission, which if you don't die at any point during the mission and you actually make it to the boss fight, the hunter will always spawn in, and every time you kill that hunter will drop you a guaranteed exotic item as well. There are a few other legendary missions that do this as well. I don't remember the name of them off the top of my head, but Amherst is the best way to go because it's a lot shorter than all the other ones. So I would recommend, if you're really determined to get all the exotics in the game, you would just want to keep farming Amherst apartment. However, if you can't do legendaries, or you just don't want to, or whatever reason it might be, the next best bet for you to get exotics would be to do Westside Piers up here, like I said earlier. Just kill mobs up here, acquire the credits, and then open those caches, and they have a 60% chance of dropping you an exotic or classified item. So that would be your second best bet. And then if you don't want to do Westside Piers anymore, you could do Underground would be your third best bet. And then if you don't want to do that, you could just do Light Zone bosses followed by Dark Zone bosses. So, but if you're really looking to get it as fast as possible, do all the legendary missions upon reset for the week, and then once you've completed them all, just keep doing Amherst over and over again, and keep getting that guaranteed exotic drop from that hunter at the end of the mission. Just keep in mind, if you do die at any point during that mission, the hunter will not spawn in, and therefore you can't get the exotic item. So just keep that in mind. That is the best way to get all the exotic items. I will leave a link in the description of a list of all the exotic items in the game, so that way you can kind of have like a little checklist, because I'm not sure why they didn't do it, but they did not put a checklist of all the exotic items in the game for people to see what they have and what they don't have. So link will be in the description for all the exotic items. And then once you collect all 24 weapons and all 6 pieces of armor, you will have the Martial Shield completed. So lastly but not least, we have the 12th and final one, called the Chieftain Shield. The objective for this one is to achieve the highest possible optimized gear score of 290. So in order to do this, what you got to do is you have to have at least all classified items equipped. So you have to have a full classified gear set, and then you have to have at least all high-end items on as well. So once you get all of these equipped, you need to go over to the optimization station, and you need a lot of div tech to do this, more than likely, unless you get really good rolls. And you're gonna have to go through all of your gear, and you're gonna have to optimize it 100% of the way, and it costs 50 division tech per roll. And every time you roll it, you slightly increase all the stats up on it, and as all the stats go up, so does the total gear score on the actual piece go up as well. So once you hit fully optimized status, you will actually be at 291 gear score. It says you need to hit fully optimized at 290, but it actually goes up to 291. And once you have a fully optimized gear set, fully optimized build, you will have the Chieftain Shield unlocked. And then once you have that unlocked, you will have completed all 12 shields in the division. So that is going to do it for all 12 shields in the division. I hope you did enjoy the video, and I hope you learned something new from it. And I hope I encourage you to go out there and grind for these shields, because they do unlock pretty cool cosmetic items. So that is going to do it for me. I'm going to just switch over to the actual shields now, play the audio, and show the things you actually unlock from them now. So I'm going to end the video with that, and just make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace out, guys. Have a good one.
Let me tell you, that Agent Phelan brought in with her is the real deal. Gotta admit it, at first I was skeptical. Oh, great, here's another rookie who thinks they're gonna do it all themselves. Probably get roasted by the cleaners within a week, you know what I mean? Didn't happen. Kind of the opposite, really. Between you and me, you didn't see that sort of performance out of every agent. You still don't. I'm telling you, right now, I'd follow that agent into hell. Or uptown, whichever comes first. Not sure you can tell the difference at this point. Hey headquarters? I have a single civilian Caucasian female attempting to enter the dark zone.
Look, you can't stop me. I can't let you.
Hang on, HQ. What are you saying, lady?
My name is April Kelleher, and I've got to get in there. The proof I need, it's behind those walls, and I'm not gonna stop until I get it.
All right. Convince me that letting you go in there isn't assisted suicide.
I've been in there before. I can handle myself.
Tell you what. I'll let you go, but if you get killed in there, you don't come crying to me, okay?
Yeah, I promise you. Now, if you'll excuse me.
HQ, never mind.
Weather sucks today.
Yeah, looking like it's gonna storm again.
You know what this reminds me of? The day we took down Alex.
Ah, that was a good day.
No kidding. That guy was huge. Must have been 6'5", 240, all muscle.
Wait, guy?
Yeah, guy. I'm talking about Alex.
That's funny. I thought Alex was a woman, short for Alexis. Man, hell of a shot, too. Picked off a couple of agents at range.
No. Alex was a guy.
Are you sure we're talking about the same Alex?
I don't know. Could there have been more than one?
Beats me. Oh, shit! Oh, they got my leg.
How bad is it?
Oh, damn it. Oh, I don't think I can walk.
Hang on. Let me tie that off for you. Executive decision. We're gonna hold out here and wait for pickup.
Nah, go and finish the job. I'll be fine until you get back.
I'm not leaving you here so I can walk into a trap without backup.
You saw them running. They're just trying to get away.
The longer we sit here arguing, the more time they've got to change their minds.
All the more reason to get going now instead of... Oh, God! Did you have to pull so tight? Instead of waiting here with me.
Negative on that. We're gonna call for help and sit tight, in case they come back.
Yeah, and in case they bring friends.
Can you imagine trying to navigate all this shit without Isaac?
Oh, hell no. We'd be screwed without it. I may have bitched about it when we first got activated, but I'm a believer now.
I hated it at first, too. Felt like someone was always looking over my shoulder.
Yeah, and the chatter. Warning, agent. I swear I was hearing that in my goddamn sleep. It's a miracle we didn't throw those watches away.
Yeah, good thing we didn't. All the stuff we use Isaac for now, environmental scans, materials analysis, motion detection, it's been a lifesaver.
Yeah, I mean, we're trained and we've got the gear and all that, but Isaac helps put us over the top. Without him, we'd be in a world of hurt.
HQ, can you read me? I've got a downed agent here.
Careful. LMB has been rigging bodies with IEDs to take out cleanup details.
This isn't my first rodeo, HQ. Huh. Isaac's telling me this one's first wave.
Man, where does Keener keep finding them?
Keener? What do you mean?
Well, the entire first wave either went with him or got gunned down by him. I wonder which choice this one made.
The kill's execution style and the body looks like it's been here a while. I'm guessing he said no when Keener tried to recruit him.
Keener, that fucking guy. We'd have this entire island under control if it wasn't for him.
You heard the latest on him?
I heard he left the island somehow. I don't believe it, though. Till he sends me a postcard from Hawaii, I'm gonna assume he's still right here.
Base, I got good news, and I got bad news. Bad news is, I'm dying.
Negative on that, Agent Sutton. We're locked onto your position, and we're sending a team to medevac you.
No time for that. I lost too much blood. Don't get anyone else killed for me.
Don't pull any of that martyr shit, Sutton. We're coming to get you.
No. Listen to me. I did it. You hear me? I found the Rikers that took out my squad, and I made them pay. I rescued the hostage they'd taken too. April. April got away clean.
That's some good work. But we're gonna scramble a rescue detail regardless. Just hang on.
I told you, it's too late. I'm losing feeling in my fingers. That's bad, right?
Just hang in there, okay? Help is on the way.
I'm gonna just close my eyes for a minute and save my strength.
Don't do that, Agent. Stay with me. I know it hurts, but you gotta stay with me. Agent? Agent Sutton? Doug? Ah.
I don't know, Ducky. The longer this goes on, the harder it is to know who to believe. I mean, I know who not to believe. That Velasquez guy. But beyond that, God knows. I mean, nobody knows nothing. But people talk. And what they're saying is not good. What are they saying? That the president's dead because we haven't heard a damn thing out of the White House in ages. That the rest of the world is just as screwed as Manhattan is, and that somebody, well, maybe the Russians, maybe some rich assholes, was responsible for the dollar flu, and that this Amherst guy was secretly working for them. Man, it's all crazy, Ducky. And we don't get any news, so I don't know what's true and what's bullshit. But if you ask me, bet on the bad news. Ducky, we got a problem coming that no one's got a solution for. And sooner or later, it's gonna warm up, and then we're gonna be in for a world of hurt. All those bodies that have been in cold storage, they are going to start to rot. And that means disease. Cholera, dysentery, stuff that'll kill you just as dead as green poison, and that'll move through a population just as fast. Besides, not like we got a stash of meds just sitting there waiting to be used. Once those secondary infections hit, it's gonna be bad, Dougie. Real bad.
Here's the thing. For months, everyone's been waiting for this thing to be over with and for everything to go back to being normal. But that's not gonna happen. Normal is dead. Or maybe this is the new normal. We've lost too many people and too much time. It can't go back to the way it used to be. No way, no how. What we've got now is what we've got, period. And there's never going to be more than that. So everyone who's still dreaming that someday they'll be sipping lattes on the way into the cubicle jobs is just going to have to get over it. Those days aren't coming back. We might as well get used to the idea and deal with what's right in front of us instead. Shit, it's cold. Wish it would warm up a bit for a change. I hate the snow. Footprints make it too easy to track. Too many of these second-wave fucks on the island. Now I gotta worry about watching my ass instead of making sure they watch theirs. One second-waver can't stand up to one of us. Hell, I'd take 3-to-1 odds. At least I would have when this started. We're the first wave, the best. The ones who were activated first, and the ones who were smart enough to bust out of the trap they'd made for us. They sent in the second wave, and it was amateur hour. You pick them off as easy as pie. All you had to do was let off a signal and they'd come running. Oh well, those days are over. The second wavers who survived are getting tough. Getting smart, too. Pretty soon they'll be able to get the drop on us, or at least try to. But they're not there yet. And if I've got anything to say about it, they won't. Do your people have everything they need?
Really? You want to rephrase that question?
You know what I mean, Felix. You got enough supplies to see you through the week. You got the gear you need to keep your place up and running. You got the people you need to make it work.
Building a self-sufficient community in the middle of Manhattan and the middle of all this is hard. We'll take all the skilled labor we can get.
When I find good people, I send them to you. You know that.
I know. And I appreciate it. Well, thanks to you, we got a hydroponic specialist and she's taken over our farming efforts. Where you found her, I'll never know.
I told you, the West Village.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I'm glad you believe in what we're doing here.
It makes sense.
We don't know how long things are going to be bad. People need something to look forward to. People need something to work for. People are going to need to survive if the supply drops cut off.
Nah, I don't even want to think about that. But if the day comes, we'll be ready.